said, probably something relatively cheap, right? Something not uber expensive, because if you're buying a rental home, you don't want to buy the home that you care to live in, because it probably isn't going to rent, right? Because it's like $200,000 or something, or depending on what house you're looking at. All right, but like, what are we looking for? Probably somewhere between, depending on what you're looking for rent, somewhere between like $60,000 to like $100,000. That's a good aiming price, because that can vary on how much you're going to charge in rent. Okay, and we'll go ahead. So how can we find them? There's tons of different ways. All right, so where should we look? Foreclosures are a great option. However, they're a little bit scary, because you never know what's going to be on the inside of a foreclosure, and you really don't get the option to look. You can sneak in and break in, but they don't encourage that. There are people who do that, so stay away from them. All right, but the foreclosures are a good option because it's somebody who abandoned a home. Okay, and there's ways, because you can go to the courthouse, and they'll take you to all the foreclosures in the town, you bid on them, and you can pay right there. Okay, if you have cash, you pay cash. If not, you can have a loan pre-submitted to go there, and the bank has already said that you can afford this payment, basically. But you can go there, and literally people go there and bid. And they're like, 100,000, 125. It's kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun. I've never won anything in the 86, but it's pretty cool to go watch the people who are super rich do it. And then abandoned homes. All right, so something a lot of people who buy rental homes, what they'll do is they'll drive around the town. All right, and people also flip homes. They'll drive around town and they'll say, "It doesn't look like anybody lived there for a while, right?" And they're like, "Why is the grass tall, or whatever? Like, why does the house look like it's just completely vacated?" And they'll go, and you can look up in the tax records and find out who owns the home, and call those people and be like, "Hey, are you trying to sell your house?" And a lot of people go about it that way. And it's people who are trying, either they've been in major debt, they're trying to get away, they may foreclose on their home, and so they want to just get out without going and having to file for bankruptcy and getting all that crap on them. So what they do is they'll like sell you the home for whatever's remaining on the debt sometimes. So that's actually that's the way a lot of really successful people go about it. But that could also mean that sometimes the house is in destruction, so you kind of gotta hedge your bets there and not bid super high on them. All right, friends, people can refer you, be like, "Hey, this person's trying to get out of a house." Sometimes elderly people are trying to get out of houses, and it's like, "Hey, my grandma's trying to move to a retirement home. Would you be interested in buying her home? She doesn't care how much you sell it for it." So sometimes you get a price for that low, or people pass away and they have this house and they don't really know what to do with it, and they have no interest in going there, and you can be like, "I'll buy the house off you." These are just some options online, like Realtor.com, Zillow, all those things. You can just scan them and just look and try and get a picture of the map on like where they are, whether it's a good neighborhood, and they tend to give you an estimated price. And so it's not a bad method. That's the way I spend a lot of time looking on. But friends is the main way that my family's actually bought rental houses so far. And then also abandoned home we bought foreclosures and people have left. And then get a real estate agent. All right. If you really want to be successful at it, finding a good real estate agent that you trust is super helpful as someone who's buying. Okay, because she doesn't charge you, or she or he doesn't charge you to buy a home. They only charge you if you sell the home. Okay, so the real estate agent's on your side when you're the buyer, but when you're the seller, not really on your side. So if you're looking to flip, you don't really want to use a real estate agent because they're going to charge you like 6% of whatever you're selling it for. All right, but if they're good at it, so they can usually sell it better than you can. But there's that, obviously you're paying for it. So find a real estate agent that you trust, and real estate agents are looking to sell houses all the time, so they'll search for houses for you, and they'll find abandoned homes, they'll find foreclosures, they'll find anything, they'll send you emails. They're like, "What do you think about this house? What do you think about that?" And they'll just filter everything to you if you're interested. And I have too many people doing that currently, and it's not helpful because I don't have any money right now. But how can we afford them? All right, I'm saying how is very prominent because people often say we can't afford that, or I can't afford that, like they're all the time saying that. And what happens is when you refuse to think that you can't do something, you're not going to be able to accomplish it, right? Because your mentalities are saying no, therefore you're not looking for any way. So when we say how can we afford it, you're opening up the possibility to solve the problem of how can I go about it, okay? So that's the question you need to ask yourself when you're buying anything. So how can I go about getting this thing, okay? And in this, you got banks. You have wealthy people who are willing to lend you money for interest back. Okay, that's one method. They'll help you pay cash for it, and then you basically repay them with the rent and such. Sometimes friends and family can be a method. It just depends on how you want to go about it. Sometimes you can pool money with other people and purchase a house together, and then you split the income that way. There's always some way to buy a house. It's simply, are you going to be willing to do the work to find out how you can purchase it? Okay? And then debt is good if it makes you money. Alright, people have this nasty perception of debt, and debt does suck to an extent, but they have this nasty perception of debt saying that you should never be in debt. Dave Ramsey says that, right? He says, no debt, never, just pay everything in cash. It's like, no one, like, Dave Ramsey's filthy rich, right? It's only not fair for him to say that. Alright, but if people are trying to accumulate wealth, alright, debt can only be good if it's going to make you money. So you don't want to acquire debt if it's not making you any money, right? That kind of goes back to the assets and liabilities column. Alright, so in buying a house, if you take out a loan for it, it's not a bad thing if you can find a renter, right? If it's affordable and you're not overpaying, and you can also afford it in case nobody's living there for a period, alright? Debt's not a bad thing if you use it right. But people tend to use debt wrong, whether it's credit cards or anything else. If you use debt to lose you money, you're using it incorrectly. Alright? So let's find an asset. This is going to be a little fun thing. Alright, so whip out your phones, go on Google, search homes for sale in Rocky Mount. Okay, there's tons of homes for sale in Rocky Mount currently. Alright, so figure out how much you're willing to bid. So find a house that you're like, oh, that looks like a good price, or that looks like a good house. And then scroll through the photos and be like, how much do you think this house will be worth? Alright, and then how much would your down payment be? Once you figure out the house, open up another tab and Google search mortgage calculator. Alright, I'll give you the interest rates on what the interest rates are right now in the market. Okay, and then it's a commercial loan, assuming you're taking out a loan. Okay, that's what we're basing everything off of. So it'll be 20%. So first we're going to go find a house. The last aspect here we're going to touch on is good people. Alright, good people make for good renting. Okay, if you have bad people, it makes for a bad experience. That's a fact. That applies to almost everything ever. It's just a rule. Alright, so finding good renters. So who falls in this category? People with a good reference that you trust is highly beneficial. Okay? Old people can be good renters too. That's another one I would categorize as usually being good because they've already been suffering their entire lives or whatever. Alright? Unfortunately, we've dealt with some really bad renters. We've had somebody burn down a house before, so that was not unfortunate. But, so don't find someone who burns down a house. That's just rule number one. Alright? But there's tons of ways to find renters, okay? If you find a rental house, guess what? They're probably going to start calling you, asking you if they can rent it. Alright? So you do not have to rent to the first person who comes to you. Alright? People think that, like, I gotta find somebody right now, like, oh, I'm not gonna have to rent the house. That's not true. You would rather wait for the person to come rent your house who's going to be good than you would rent to someone crappy just because you want the money. Because if you put that person in there who's not a good person, guess what? They're going to cost you way more money than you'll make. Guaranteed.
It's hard to throw them out.
It is hard to throw them out. Because they can claim anything. Go ahead,
oh, I'm sorry. I was saying the house I'm in got burned because somebody left something like a cigarette or something on the stove or whatever. Yep. And it cost my parents like tons of money through insurance and time.
Yep. And that's been a recurring thing with certain ways we've gone about renting, so I wouldn't follow that method. The HUD, whatever it's called.
HUD.
Yeah. I would not encourage that method personally, because it has never turned out good for us. And I hate to say that, but just for safety. Alright, so another thing is laborers, alright? Or property managers, right? If you get big enough, if you have enough properties, you want to find someone who's willing to do the properties for you. Okay? Who can handle all the maintenance work. Unless you are a handyman yourself, you probably can't do most of the work, right? But you want to help some guy out and basically guarantee him saying, hey look, if you cut me a deal on prices, I will give you any job that comes here that I need. Okay? And then those guys are like, okay, like guarantees me work, therefore I will charge you less, typically. Alright, we have a guy who does that for us, and it's highly beneficial because we do a lot of work, and he does work for a lot cheaper than most people would. And so finding people also that you know who do good work, because what you don't want to do is pay for someone to fix something and they didn't actually fix it and they charge you out the wazoo. Okay, so finding people that you trust and people recommend to fix things. Alright, and lastly, if you can do your own work, guess what? It saves you money. If it's things like installing, what are the things called? Light bulbs. Not light bulbs, fans. Ceiling fans. Thank you. Ceiling fans or chandeliers, or like if a drawer breaks and you can come in and fix it real quick instead of like the people trying to fix it and wrecking everything. Or even if pipes break and you can just change out the thing underneath the sink that goes and tears everything up. If you can learn how to fix those things, which YouTube is an amazing tool, then you can save yourself money by not having to pay those guys an hourly wage, because those guys' hourly wages are pretty high. Alright, so, but my main thing is finding a good renter is key, and it'll make your house last a lot longer. Alright, so don't rush into finding a renter just because you want the money. Alright? So, let's test your gag reflex. Alright, let's think of all the things that could go wrong. Alright, so we've looked at all the the possibility of what money can make, and this is the part where people can pull out. Alright, and if you feel like you need to pull out and you're nervous about it and it just tears you up inside and just thinking about putting that much money in and saving that much money makes you just want to puke. Alright, that's what this is testing. Alright, so let's say what goes wrong, right? Ice burst. It happened to me recently. Highly unfortunate. Alright, it cost me a fair amount of money, but it is what it is. Alright, old roofs. You have to put on a new roof. A leaky roof can cause damage. You don't want to wait that long. You have to pay a lot of money to put on a new roof. Alright? Rotted wood underneath the house or even in the things, or termites even, so you have to pay for termite damage and such. That stuff can happen, and it has happened to a lot of people. Alright, so you can pay for ways to not have termites, obviously, and cover insurance. But, alright, so what are other things? What are things that can go wrong in your home? List them off. Fire them out.
Fire.
Fire. People can burn a house down. There you go. That's a fact.
Children.
Children can break stuff. Yeah, that's true.
Children with fire.
Break
Children
in.
can destroy a home.
Break in.
Yeah, somebody can break in.
Your
and-
friend can break in.
Hurricane and a tree falls on your house.
That's true.
Man, I could tell you everything.
Bad drivers.
What's the worst thing?
Probably the worst thing's probably when we moved in the house, there was a place in our living room that was patched. Pretty hard. At that point we were gonna buy a house, it didn't matter. And I asked the guy just in passing, I was like, man, what happened with that hole? He's like, oh, my kids were in here with this plastic sword, and we understood. It sounded legit.
Yeah.
He's like, they just put the hole in. So, like a month or two later, I was upstairs, I was running the bathtub for one of the kids, cut the water off, I was doing something, and Colleen comes upstairs, she said, is the tub overflowing? The tub's not on. She's like, well, there's water coming through the ceiling, hitting the couch. I'm like, that's not possible. So I go down and look, and sure enough, it's coming out of that hole. And so the faucet on the tub, the water was going up, and it wasn't attached correctly. And so it's going right back down the pipe, right down through the ceiling. Oh yeah.
Those kids are just trying to create an
And
extra.
so me trying to just, be the man and I can fix this, put my finger in it, and when I did, the hole went from this big to about this big. Oh yeah, it was awesome.
So there's something else that can go wrong with your house. Alright. That's terrible. That's kind of funny though. So I'm just glad it didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
There's a ton of things that can go wrong, right? Alright, that's just a fact. Fair? Alright, so if you're still interested, okay, then pursue it, right? Look into it, check it out, look for homes, search around, figure out what it looks like long term, how can you buy something to leave for your kids that isn't going to destroy you right now. And also another thought process is, these things can cost you a fair amount of money, right? But most people who do this end up doing pretty well. And if it does cost you a lot and it hurts you now, most of us are young enough, actually all of us are pretty young, to the point where it's not going to destroy your life because you still have your job and you can continue to work and start over. But this is kind of that reflex of just like think of everything go wrong, and if you still want to continue on, then you probably do want to check this out.